Welcome to the Intercut podcast channel, where we are recapping some of the most notable premieres of the 2025 Sundance Film Festival. I'm your co-host Zachary Shevich, joined by my co-host Arturo Zurita and the Lucas to our hedges, Amanda the Jedi. And we're talking about the film Sorry Baby. Sorry Baby comes from first-time filmmaker Ava Victor, who writes, directs, and stars in this film about Agnes, who had something bad happen to her. After a visit from a friend, Agnes begins to realize how stuck she's been. This was the Waldo Salt Screenwriting Award winner from the U.S. Dramatic category at Sundance. But I think more importantly, it felt like the movie with the best buzz at Sundance. A lot of people came away saying that this was one of their favorites, if not their favorite film from the festival. And it also sold to A24 for $8 million, a pretty solid return, which I think means they'll probably be putting this one out in the fall, maybe giving it a little bit of an awards run cycle. Amanda, do you feel like Sorry Baby has earned its hype out of Sundance?
I definitely think so. This is another one I was lucky enough to catch the premiere of with Caitlin, and it delivered. Ava Victor's so good. The way this story is told, it does a little bit of that like non-linear thing where it's like once she realizes how stuck she is in her life and how she has to start recontextualizing the things that got her there, the way it's handled is so incredibly impactful, and more so than it would be if they had gone for some of the more not cheap, but just more of the more like overt showing of things happening to her. I think the choices they made actually were way more striking, especially
It's really artful.
It's very artful, especially when you compare it to some of the other movies in this exact same category that felt like they were going out of their way to create the craziest scenarios they could think of for dramatic effect, for shock value. And I think that makes this all the more strong for it and all the more moving. There's a couple scenes in this where like certain words aren't used because that would be kind of accepting a thing has occurred.
Yeah.
There's a scene in there's like a couple, I can't even talk about it without really spoiling it, but it's just the couple scenes you can tell how impactful it is while there's still just kind of that light comedy going on at the same time, because that's how so many people deal with very traumatic events. She nails it.
Totally. This is in some ways like a very classic Sundance movie in the sense that this is a personal story that it's an exploration of past traumas and how they continue to impact our daily lives. And it's funny, but it's not an uproarious comedy. And it also has these dramatic beats that like, I wouldn't describe it as like fully heavy, but it explores heavy issues because they constantly cut down the tension through the humor. Tonally, it really reminded me of like Albert Brooks's more existential comedies. Like I think there is something very like classic to how Ava Victor handles this scenario. My friend Dawn, I think, made a smart comparison to Miranda July's work as well, in that there's like a quirkiness to the humor, but there's like a real like serious thoughtfulness to the story being told. I really responded to Sorry Baby.
Yeah. I really like the timeline stuff, as Amanda was bringing up. There's like a bit of the way that it's told that feels confusing. It's like, how are we telling the story? And hearing her talk about it, it's this idea of when you go through an incident, life moves on, but maybe you're stuck.
Right.
And when she said that, I went, whoa. It contextualizes the movie to you in a way where you understand what a filmmaker can do when they can put you in the shoes of the character. As you guys are describing, sometimes you don't need to show it. Sometimes you can shoot it in a way where you go, oh, this is an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
When are the times that you choose to show intimate moments? Because those do matter, as opposed to when they don't. This woman has fired on more cylinders than I was expecting, because as Zach said, this is why you go to Sundance. This is the epitome of what a Sundance movie should be in a good way, where it's not a derogatory term, as people have been using it, because, I don't know, they can't go to Sundance and they think of the worst one. No, I mean, that's what you do. That's what you do, right?
That's fair. Yeah, I guess.
Got to make you feel important somehow.
Yeah.
No, this is why you come to this. This is why the festival's been going for as long as it has. It's because of things like this. This is the highest rated one, even above Twinless, which we just covered as well, coming out of the Sundance Film Festival. Many times you go on the list. On Letterboxd, you go to the Sundance list.
Makes sense.
Open up that Letterboxd, go to average highest rating.
Yeah.
Many years you get the retrospectives being the highest one because they've been out.
Yeah.
This just mopped. This just
and
clear.
had the benefit of sticking on the online platform the entire time. More people had a
So
chance
many
to
people
see
got
it.
to see it,
Maybe
yeah.
we would have seen something different if people had been able to see Twinless, but I'm not entirely sure
Maybe.
because I know
Yeah.
Twinless hit, but this one is like very, very impactful in a way that I feel like a lot more people are going to be able to relate to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but
And I'm happy we went to go see it with a crowd because it's definitely one where you want to be seated and giving
Yes.
it your undivided attention.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you.
I wouldn't have wanted to watch this digitally. I know I wouldn't have gotten as much out of it.
Yeah.
And it's there's
yeah.
also like moments where the film will really hold on an image or stick on an idea, and those moments, like being in the theater, kind of focused on the screen in that way, I think they really, really have an impact. And giving your all to this movie, like it really rewards that because I had some familiarity with Ava Victor from her TikToks and stuff.
Yeah.
She's very funny, but the thing that I was really not expecting was how cinematic this would be.
Yeah.
And there's some just really, really beautiful images that have
Long
stuck
takes?
with me. Some long takes, and I think particularly when you talk about the upsetting things that this film does touch on, it's interesting the way that like little details, the kinds of things that like I feel like most people who experience trauma will remember strange little details. And this is a film that really evokes that idea, how like a drive home kind of encompasses everything that you need to remember about the experience.
Yeah, no. Using cinema to its fullest.
Yeah, I think this has been every year going to get it at Sundance, but I felt like this was the biggest year where I could tell there were a lot of movies that were based on people's personal experiences. There were also a lot of movies where I feel like people made the movies before they were ready to make them. I just don't think they came out the other side enough to be telling the story effectively.
Look, that is fair, right? You got a lot
You
of
know?
people, you got a good story to tell. You just didn't leave it in the oven for too long.
That's what I mean. And there's like a couple, like Jim Pie, I feel is one of those. I feel like Bunny Lover is one of those.
That's a good point, though, because of who she had. I think you were the first to mention who she shadowed.
Oh, yeah, Jane
Well,
Schoenbrunn. That might have been me. Yeah.
Yeah, regardless, Ava Victor got the chance to shadow Jane Schoenbrunn while
I
they
like
were
that.
making
On the
I
set
Saw the
of
TV Glow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
it
how
was
you
a really
get a good movie. I like how she had
and-
mentioned that she was there and she wasn't having to work. She really got to observe a filmmaker who made one of our favorites from last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And we haven't mentioned that a big reason that Ava Victor was able to do that is that this is a film that was produced by Barry Jenkins, as well as Barry Jenkins' producing team. And from some of the interviews, stuff that we've been reading, they just seem to do an incredible job of setting Ava Victor up for success with this movie. I don't know if either of you saw the bit that's going around that Ava said there were 2 scenes in the film that she was nervous about approaching, one from an acting perspective and another from a directing perspective, and that the production company allowed her to shoot those scenes a year in advance of the film, just basically as a test.
Oh,
and
wow.
through doing that was able to like reapproach how they wanted to tackle those
That's
scenes in
incredible.
the film.
She called it like
love
a
that.
mini film school that she got to do beforehand with everybody. This
That's
is
very
how
cool.
you water your directors to be able to make projects like this.
Yes.
I love that.
So you have a win out the gate.
Yeah. She had also mentioned how, like, for Mufasa, when I was listening to those interviews, Barry was always talking about, like, I'm not just not making indie movies. I produced After Sun. I've got this one over here. What was the one from a couple years ago that the Nickel Boy cinematographer also shot?
Aldert Road's Taste of Salt, Barry also produced.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm missing a couple of other Barry ones, but that's the point. He goes, I've produced so many underneath here that Ava had even talked about Mufasa's headquarters for editing is where they edited all the indie films as well. So they had everything going for them. And on top of that, Barry was just next door. So any questions that they had answered immediately. So a lot writing behind it, and I think it delivers on all fronts. Shout out Naomi Ackie. If you wanted to also see this from the perspective of a friendship, if this is a movie that's kind of holding your hand if you went through something like this, Naomi Ackie knocks that out of the park. The humor, the supportiveness, all of it, especially as it leads up to what the title means and how that comes into play.
So
I just thought it was a very beautiful movie.
Sticks the ending too. It sticks the landing in the ending. There's
The ending could be a short film.
That's what I mean, man.
Honestly,
like,
bro, every aspect of the movie feels like a mini short film.
Yeah, in a good way.
In the best way possible.
Yeah, there's sometimes movies that you generally like what they're about. this was a movie where I liked every single scene. I think there was something interesting about every moment in this movie. You both mentioned the timeline aspect and the way that it'll just give you these like morsels of information that inform the rest of her character. Yeah. I thought it was really, really well done. There's just so much to like about this film. I'm curious if either of you came away most impressed with Ava Victor, the actor, the director, the writer. Is it just a combination of all three? The director for you, Art?
Yeah, I respect the screenwriting award for sure, because I think it's very well written. That idea that you were just saying, if you have a year that feels like a blur, what's the scene that stood out to you? What interaction stood out with you? What conversation stood out with you that makes it in that movie, in that recap almost of her mind? I think it's her direction, because she brings in side characters for just one scene, and they're character actors who just knock it out of the park. And I do think the humor is fantastic. She's directing animals. The cover, I had not heard a bigger from Zach than when this woman finds the cat, and I feel it is the cheapest thing when they bring in a cat. They had me. They had me, and then she won.
I was worried.
She won opposite at the store. The store scene is hands down. Look.
Oh, it's so good.
Y'all need to hear this. Top 3 cat scenes of all time in cinema.
I think so.
There's just a really affable awkwardness to the way she handles herself generally. Right? Like she's a little strange, a little quirky, but like very sweet. Yeah. And it all just really resonated. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no!
But no, like she'll really be directing scenes with an animal, and it feels like Abbott and Costello. She's doing some Three Stooges stuff with the cat, and again, just the strong supporting cast that she has with her. Shout out the boy Lucas Hedges as well. Louis Cancel Me continuing to play similar characters since Killers of the Flower Moon. He plays the professor here, and just everyone else who rounds out the cast. I think all come in to play a very pivotal part. And I was very impressed.
I don't know if this means anything to anybody, but I felt like Louis Cancelmi was very like Ron Livingston core in this movie. Like it's a real Ron Livingston kind of part.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, a great movie. I think we all really resonated with it. We all were really heartened by it. Do you think that this is a movie that will cross over into some kind of mainstream success, or is this more of a film that's for the art house indie crowd?
No, I think this is for the girlies. I think the girlies are not just for the girlies, but I think the girlies are definitely gonna like this one. I hope it just it feels like
you know, because we loved, again, when we mentioned it, she shadowed TV Glow. We love that movie. You'll find it at the top of the charts from last year.
Yeah,
didn't blow up. This is a little bit more. I think I don't want to call it mainstream because it's still very artsy. Not too artsy, but it's less.
No,
TV
when comparing
Glow.
it to TV Glow. Yeah,
TV Glow, exactly.
People aren't going to be parsing the ending of Sorry Baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I hope that it would get picked up a little bit more, because it's got the credit to it. Did it pick up? Oh, it picked up the screenwriting. It's got the buzz
and
for
A24 behind it is definitely a good sign as well.
Okay, that's it.
Like to me, I feel like it's a little bit reminiscent of maybe your like DDs and stuff like that come out of the festival. Where
DD got a good run in theaters,
Yeah, but maybe even a little bit more than that, just because I think there is something really special to Ava Victor's voice. Maybe it's a little bit like Lena Dunham after Tiny Furniture, just that like excitement around a new voice.
Yeah, for real. That's a good. Yeah. No. Like, this makes me curious to what she's gonna do next.
Yeah,
how this is gonna roll out. No, it's very good job.
A lot to like about Sorry Baby. Anything else before we move on to another movie?
The cat was hers, and it stayed at the DoubleTree.
Good. Good. No, I love that
I didn't even know there was an Alexa in this room.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we all really liked Sorry Baby. Hope you all get a chance to see it soon and like it as much as we did. Going to talk about some more films out of the Sundance Film Festival, but for now, that's Arturo's Rita, that's Amanda the Jedi, I'm Zachary Shevich, and remember, until next time, I want John Carroll Lynch to make me a sandwich.